Sometimes the technology can reveal that going virtual is really not as simple as it seems. And in this case, no one ended the virtual stream of a funeral service.
Imagine finding a well-dressed man dead on a beach, a half-smoked cigarette resting on his shoulder, with no identification, no signs of struggle, and every single label cut from his clothing. Now imagine discovering a tiny scrap of paper hidden in a secret pocket of his trousers, bearing two haunting Persian words that translate to, "It is finished." This isn't the plot of a spy novel. This is the true story of the Somerton Man, and what investigators found next would turn this case into one of the most terrifying unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. On the morning of December 1st, 1948, a couple strolling along Somerton Beach near Adelaide, Australia, made a discovery that would haunt investigators for over 7 decades. Slumped against the seawall was the body of a man, elegantly dressed in a brown suit, striped shirt, and polished shoes. An unlit cigarette lay perched on his collar, as if he had simply fallen asleep mid-smoke. But this man wasn't sleeping. He was dead, and nobody had any idea who he was. The scene was strange from the very beginning. There were no signs of violence, no wounds, no blood. The man appeared to be in his early 40s, physically fit, with well-manicured hands that suggested he wasn't someone who performed manual labor. His clothes were of good quality, expensive even, but there was something deeply unsettling about them. Every single identifying label had been meticulously removed, not just from his jacket or shirt, but from every piece of clothing he wore. Someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to ensure this man could not be identified. In his pockets, police found a few items that should have helped crack the case wide open. There was an unused train ticket to Henley Beach, a bus ticket that may or may not have been used, some chewing gum, and cigarettes of a brand called Army Club. That was it. No wallet. No identification, no money, no name. Nothing that could tell investigators who this mysterious man was or where he came from. The autopsy only deepened the mystery. The medical examiners found that the man's spleen was enlarged to roughly 3 times its normal size. His stomach was filled with blood, and there were signs that suggested poisoning. But here's where things get truly bizarre. Despite testing for every common poison known at the time, including cyanide alkaloids, barbiturates, and carbolic acid, the government analyst found absolutely nothing. If this man had been poisoned, it was with something so rare or so exotic that it decomposed in the body before it could be detected. One medical witness stated that death was almost certainly not natural, yet they couldn't prove what had killed him. As weeks passed with no one coming forward to identify the body, police made the unusual decision to embalm the corpse and create a plaster cast of the man's head and upper torso. They buried him in a carefully chosen plot of dry ground, sealed under concrete, just in case they needed to exhume the body later. Little did they know this case was about to take a turn that would transform it from a mysterious death into something far more sinister. 5 months after the man's death, in May of 1949, 5 months after the man's death, in May of 1949, a pathologist conducting one final examination of the clothing discovered something that had been missed. Hidden in a tiny fob pocket sewn into the waistband of the dead man's trousers, investigators found a tightly rolled piece of paper. When they carefully unrolled it, they found 2 words printed in an ornate, elegant script. The words read, "Tam shud," a Persian phrase meaning, "it is ended," or "it is finished." A police reporter immediately recognized the phrase. It came from a famous book of 12th century Persian poetry called the Rub-Ait of Omar Khayyam, which had become wildly popular in Australia during the war years. The book's central theme is that one should live life to the fullest and have no regrets when it ends. Was this a suicide note? Had the man deliberately left this final message as some kind of philosophical statement about his own death? The discovery seemed to point toward suicide, yet the entire situation felt far too elaborate, too carefully orchestrated for something so simple. Police immediately began searching for the book from which this page had been torn. They checked libraries, bookshops, and publishers throughout Adelaide, desperately trying to find a copy that matched the distinctive typeface. But they found nothing. Then, 2 months later, a man walked into the police station with a book in his hand. He explained that he had found a copy of the Rub-Ait in the back seat of his unlocked car, which had been parked near Somerton Beach on November 30th, the day before the body was discovered. He hadn't thought much of it at the time, but after hearing about the case, he decided to bring it in. When police examined the book, they made a discovery that sent chills down their spines. The final page of the book had been torn out, and the missing section matched the Tam Shud fragment found in the dead man's pocket perfectly. But that wasn't all. Written on the back cover of the book in pencil was an unlisted phone number. And beneath that, faintly visible only under magnification, was a sequence of 5 lines of seemingly random capital letters. It appeared to be some kind of code. The code looked like this. The first line read MRGOABBABD, the second line NLIAOI, and so on, with some letters crossed out. Experts from around the world have attempted to crack this cipher for decades. Cryptographers, code breakers, and amateur sleuths have all tried their hand at deciphering it, but to this day, no one has been able to definitively solve it. Some believe it's a one-time pad cipher, the kind that spies used during the Cold War. Others think it might be an abbreviation for names or places. Still others argue it could be complete nonsense, deliberately designed to mislead investigators. The phone number led police to a young woman who lived near Somerton Beach. She was a nurse, and when questioned, she reluctantly admitted that she had once given a copy of the Ruba to a man she knew during the war, an Australian Army lieutenant named Alfred Boxall. Could this be their dead man? The investigators rushed to track down Boxall, certain they had finally solved the mystery. But when they found him working at a bus depot in Sydney, very much alive, they discovered that his copy of the Roby yacht was completely intact. The last page with the words, "Tam should," was still firmly attached to his book. The nurse's connection to the case raised even more questions than it answered. She claimed not to recognize the dead man when shown photographs, but witnesses reported that she looked shocked and possibly frightened when she saw the body. Curiously, shortly after the Somerton man's death, she gave birth to a son who possessed the same rare ear trait as the dead man, a genetic characteristic found in only about 2% of the population. Was this merely coincidence, or was there a deeper connection that she refused to reveal? Theories about the Somerton man's identity have ranged from the plausible to the fantastical. Some believe he was a Soviet spy caught up in Cold War espionage, poisoned by a rival agent using an untraceable toxin. The coded message, the mysterious book, the careful removal of all identifying marks, all of these elements seem straight out of an espionage thriller. Others speculate he was involved in criminal activities and was murdered to keep him silent. The theory of a jilted lover, poisoned by the woman he came to Adelaide to find, has also captured public imagination. One of the strangest aspects of the case is that over the decades, flowers would occasionally appear on the Somerton man's grave, left by an unknown person who never identified themselves. Who was leaving these flowers? Did they know who he was? And if so, why did they never come forward? For over 70 years, the Somerton man's identity remained a complete mystery. Then, in 2022, researchers made a breakthrough using modern DNA technology. By extracting DNA from hairs embedded in the plaster death mask created back in 1948, forensic genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick and University of Adelaide professor Derek Abbott were able to construct a family tree of some 4,000 people. After painstaking research through archival records, they identified the Somerton man as Carl Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne who had vanished from public records in April of 1947. But here's the truly haunting part. Even with a name attached to the body, the mystery is far from solved. If Carl Webb died on Somerton Beach in 1948, why was he there? Why did he remove every identifying label from his clothing? How did he die? What does the coded message mean? Why did he have that specific page from the Rubite? And perhaps most disturbing of all, if it wasn't suicide, who killed him and why? The Australian authorities have yet to officially confirm Webb's identity or close the case. The cause of death remains unknown. The cipher remains undeciphered. The connection to the nurse remains unexplained. And the flowers that appeared on his grave over the years remain a mystery. Sometimes, even when we think we've found the answers, the truth slips through our fingers like sand on Somerton Beach. The Somerton man case reminds us that reality can be stranger and more terrifying than any fiction. Somewhere in the past, answers exist to all these questions. Perhaps they're hidden in documents that have yet to be discovered, or locked away in the memories of people who have long since passed. Or perhaps, like the final words, "Tam shud," suggest some mysteries are simply meant to remain finished, ended, and forever unsolved. If this case has left you wanting more unsolved mysteries and true crime stories that will keep you up at night, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. We dig deep into the world's most baffling cold cases, bringing you meticulously researched content that respects the victims while exploring the evidence that investigators left behind. Drop a like on this video if you found the Somerton man's story as fascinating and chilling as we did. and let us know in the comments what unsolved case you'd like us to cover next. There are countless mysteries out there waiting to be told, and we're here to bring them to you. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember that sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones that are true.